Hello, this is Dr. Jackie Jiang. Today we will be talking a bit about parenting skills. I've been thinking about doing a video on this topic for a long time since I've done child custody evaluation videos, I've done adult intelligence test, result interpretation, and my background is in child behavior health and adolescent behavior health. So I'm thinking this video might be useful for parents and other professionals that are interested in this topic. So today's topic is what makes good parenting? What are the factors for effective parenting skills? So I have done some seminars at local agencies. So I have a PowerPoint already drafted. I revised it a little bit, but haven't used it for the past 2 or 3 years. So let's see if I will use that as the guideline so we can go through it together. Let's see. Okay, so this is the PowerPoint. I think we have something to look at it together. So it's not too boring, just me talking. Okay, effective parenting skill. There are different parenting styles. In the past, I tell people there are 3 main ones. And then after a few years, I did some more research. I think I should add another one. And I did do some research on the 4th one. I think it does have some research background. So I added on there. The first one is authoritarian. This is different from authoritative that we're going to discuss in a bit. So I'll just read it with you. Authoritarian is a restrictive, punishment-heavy parenting style in which parents make children follow their directions with little or no explanation, which is pretty much is, I do this because I told you so, and that's it. Very punitive punishment. I do not need to have established relationship with the children before I discipline, which is not efficient. You have to have a relationship with the child in order to discipline the child effectively. I always tell people that, but authoritarian, some parents usually tend to be father, they're stricter, they're really not very emotional driven. So, they does a lot of authoritarian, which is not the ideal parenting style. So for the mom wise, permissive, indulgent. I'm not saying all parents are the same, and some could be flipped. Dad is more permissive and the mom is more authoritarian. So in general, if paired up, one authoritarian parent paired up with a permissive, so the authoritarian would discipline more because, he just did wrong. Why you let him go and again? And the other parent would try to compensate or overcompensate by being more permissive. Oh, don't tell your dad about this. Just let's do this, because the other parents felt like it's not fair, but didn't want to get into this argument with the spouse. So they just let the kids go away back door, open the back door even more. So then it makes it even worse. So that's what I will discuss more about later on, why parents should be on the same page. Permissive parents place few demands or controls on their parents and do not require children to regulate themselves or behave appropriately. So after a long time, the kids really do not have self-regulation. They're grumpy, they're happy. Most of the time they're complaining. They really do not have self-discipline or self-regulation, So the best way is authoritative, which is balance, is the balance, or even more, because it's it has the reasoning behind it. It has a firmness behind it, firm but not abusive. Help the children to find appropriate outlets to solve the problem. So it's more providing the child with the opportunity to be self-independent, to regulate them emotionally, which is very important for kids to be able to solve their own problem, to be emotionally and psychologically and cognitively independent, to help them, grow, become independent. This is the 4th one. Oops. The 4th one, I did some digging. It does have some research foundation. The unevolved out of all the so-called 3 or 4 different parenting styles, uninvolved is the worst. Emotionally distant, limited interaction. Usually the uninvolved parents are some type of preoccupied with other stuff, whether it's a significant chronic mental illnesses or substance abuse, using drugs, alcohol, and they just don't care, So why it's this uninvolved is the worst, because they are not always there, whether it's a permissive, I'm always indulgent, or I'm always, down your throat, authoritarian. They are involved one way or another. I'm always there. I'm just too lenient or too demanding, okay, or abusive in a way. I mean, that's not good. But I'm involved is I don't care really what happened to you. You could be good, you could be bad. It's really none of my business type of thing. I mean, some parents will pass out because of drug use, or pass out because addiction or alcoholism. I mean, they're just not involved, and that's the worst for the kids. The best, again, is authoritarian, authoritative. Sorry. Let's see. Okay, and culture influence, I just mainly put it here because different, whether it's just a ethnicity, culture differences, or family culture differences. Big urban city will be different from a small town parent family culture. A different African American would be different than Hispanic and Asian. In Asia is more collectivism, which is not called codependent, but interdependence. Promote the interdependence in children. Like when they discipline their kids, they will use some comments like, you just did that, you make mom disappointed, or mom is disappointed in you. Something like that shows the relationship. You disrespected your elders, or, that's called the interdependence instead of codependence, which is wrong. In America, it's more individualism. It's promoting the independence. You're who you are. You're even little bitty guy. You're your own personality. I respect that. And so you can take into consideration of cultural differences. And Hispanic, the same, and African American culture, that would be similar differences. I mean, not the similar, but have differences in their dynamics to take into the consideration. And this is just a question for you to think of, what's your parenting style? So a lot of times the people have different ones, and for single parent, you have to be it all. You have to, cover all these domains. You don't have to be all the type. Of course, those types are not good. I'm just saying you have to be all within the healthy parenting domain, which is authoritative. You have to be nurturing, which we're going to talk about. You have to be nurturing, you have to be playful, you have to set the disciplines. I use the concepts of theraplay, which was used when I was doing the internship at the community mental health center. They use this for adoption, anybody in home, traditional adoption. Those kids that have attachment problems, they don't attach to individuals or families very well, so they use the theraplay. It's a type of I would just read it, different type of, similar to play therapy, but it focuses on different, a little bit more to build attachment. A child and family therapy approach for building and enhancing attachment, self-esteem, trust in others. A lot of trust, because those foster care, they bounce home to home, and, their primary caregiver, their biological parents betrayed them, so they have a trust issues. When they want to be nice to you, or they want to develop a trust, and then something build up, and then they withdraw. You want to give them a hug, and they run. So those type of things. Joyful engagement is based on the natural patterns of a playful. It's usually, it wants to build some type of relationship in the natural setting, such as play therapy in the office is the best they can. I mean, you can't go to their home. You can go home to provide those type of, but in the natural setting, healthy interaction between parent and child is personal, physical, and fun. Has to make it fun. I have to emphasize the fun part, and I will talk more about that. Okay, 3 domains. What is healthy parenting? So we talk about all the unhealthiness and healthiness. The best is authoritative. The second best, or second worst, are permissive and authoritarian. The worst is uninvolvement. unevolved parenting. So what are the good ones, factors you want to look for in your parenting skill? There are three, okay? I borrowed the concept from a third play. I think they have four or something. Usually contains all three plus everything else, okay? They will help bring up children with positive emotions, emotional security. This it links to unconditional love, acceptance. That's very, very important to the emotional security of a child. Responsible behavior, empathy, compassion for other people. You want to do that, otherwise become psychopath. That have no, you can build, establish compassion. Those, in a way it's biological, but also it can be taught. Self-respect, self-discipline. Some parents may fully utilize skills in one or two domains that I'm going to talk about and lack skills in the rest. Father tend to be more disciplinaries, mother tend to be more nurturing. Parents, especially single parents, you need to learn to develop skills in all these three areas. What are three areas here? Nurturing. You have to nurture the kids. I'll talk more in a bit in detail. Play with the kids. Why play therapy is effective in doing therapy with the kids. I did a lot of play therapy from my age 20, 23, 26, 23, 26 and on. Did a lot of play therapy and the discipline. This is it can be merged together. For example, when you do a play therapy and then you're playing and the kids go crazy, and then suddenly the kids whack you with a toy. That's time you need to just stop. No, don't hit anywhere on the on your body. No more whacking, and then you play with it again. So that you use the play therapy, the playfulness with the discipline. Or when you play and then the kids suddenly hit themselves and it started crying or started being sad, you use a play at the same time with nurturing. Oh, are you okay? Oh, you're such a tough boy. Good job. Use those play and the nurturing at the same time. So we'll just explain more what are these three main things that you want to focus on. Nurturing is to provide comfort, security, reassurance, encouragement, and so on. Encouragement is a good job. You did great. Oh my goodness, make it exaggerate a little bit. Kids, especially younger kids, they love verbal affirmation. Even it's a small improvement in what they do. Look at those blocks you build. These are the wonderful, stuff like that. Do it that way. Different from common meaning of nurturing. Nurturing is not just like, oh, do you have a boo-boo and stuff, but it's a lot of everything else in the nurturing. So-called example, listen attentively. So when kids were talking about nothing, right on and on about this Lego, about this shows and so, are you listening really? I know it's difficult, especially when parents, kind of get home and tired. I really don't want to hear anything right now, but it's good to know, be aware, listen attentively about his school, his friends, his shows, his video games, all those things. Emotional expression, encouraging that, especially in boys. Boys are usually not very good in verbalizing their emotions. I don't know if this is a culture or it's just the masculinity. It's not a shame to express. I would rather them use words than that physical acting out when they're angry. Say, of course, in my message, I'm really angry because da 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 da, or I was angry today because da 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 da. That's the solution and discussion instead of they just started punching or throw fits or being short and being ridiculous in the house. So use words, use emotions, draw something out, listening to something, let it out. Encouragement, we talk about that. Acceptance, unconditional love. Kids has to feel you're accepting them in order for you to discipline them effectively. Acceptance and unconditional love doesn't mean there is no boundaries. I accept you as a child of mine, as a person, but I do not allow bad behavior. So that's different. Sometimes people think, well, if I accept you and then you can just run all over. No, accepting means that I accept you for who you are, that person, but I still will point out your bad behavior because you have people just have a bad behavior. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person. Acceptance, unconditional love. It's not like I can only love you if you behave, you do whatever I tell you, you know. Provide comfort when hurts and never overdone. You know, being nurturing doesn't mean that you are going to take their pain away from them. Sometimes it is okay or even better to let the kids go through the suffering themselves with the two things. One is safe. You know, you're not going to let your kids run around on the street, not telling them. You're not going to let your kids die to learn their lesson. And also it's legal. You can't just let your kids to try it out stuff then ended up in juvenile detention center. That's nurturing part. Play. Playfulness, be playful, engaging play, get down to children's level, have fun, laugh together. Playfulness is one of the way to bond with the kids efficiently, you know. That's why talk therapy is not working very efficiently for kids younger than 8, 9, 10, 11, or 12, you know. Kids bond better with adults when they play. Starting with non-directive play. And a play, I mean, it's not like what the parents wants to do then, you know, play, you have to say, what do you like to play? Not just like, okay, I want to do this, so you tag along. That's not called play with kids. That's called a self-fulfillment. I understand. Sometimes, you know, they'll say, hey, tag along. You know, I go grocery shopping, come on, you know. I understand. But at the same time, you know, you want to do something the kids like as well. That's called the bonding with the kids. Parents' traits and barriers in playing with the children. There are some parents, you know, they have their own traits that would prevent them to be fun, just in general. You know, whether they're so busy, I don't have time. You know, I'm on the computer and I have to do things on the computer. You know, I have to talk to this person, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes it's a tiredness. You know, it's after a whole day work, or whether it's a physical, psychological, you just come home, you just want to chill. And your kids want to want to talk about everything in there. You just want to do whatever. You just want to, you know, tell them to that. So monitor that. I'm not saying you have to be perfect to be a good parent. You just monitor that. You know, you're tired. You can nod still, you know. If you're thinking something else, you're tired. You can just let them out and ask some questions. Oh, that's fun. That seems fun. Depression. Sometimes depress the parent have such a hard time engaged because everything is, that's the symptoms of depression, lack of motivation, lack of interest, the normal things that they enjoy doing. So they don't play with their kids no more. They found it just not interested in life in general. So monitor that. I'm not saying if you have mental diagnosis, you're a bad parent. I'm just saying monitor, be aware of that, okay? Mental health conditions, the only probably diagnosis I'll have a problem with good parenting would be narcissistic personality disorder. And I mentioned that a little bit in the child custody evaluation. Substance abuse, pass out, you can't be playful, right? So substance abuse is a huge thing. And plus the pathology, the main pathology for substance abuse addictions is the preoccupation with this. So which means they surround their life with the addictions, you know, whether it's gambling or addiction, drug, alcohol, any type of addiction. They think about that all the time, to how to arrange their schedules and stuff. It's always about their addiction, using addictions, right? So in that, they're preoccupied. If that's priority, everything else has to suffer, right? Secondary. So that's why it's, you know, can play a role in the parenting. Too many kids, yeah, some parents have so many kids, it's difficult to engage in one-on-one. I do promote one-on-one, even if it's 5 minutes. I mean, if you have 5 kids, you know, take 5 minutes to 10 minutes every day to kind of, you know, have some one-on-one time, so the kids won't be jumping up and down, want your attention, you know, even read a bedtime story, you know, or have some silly play, you know, or do something just with the kid one-on-one. I know it's easy said than done, especially with overwhelmed parents. Just try. Discipline. This is the third one that you want to look into. Corrective behaviors, giving appropriate punishment, to be consistent with punishment and discipline actions. Okay, discipline doesn't mean, you know, yelling, screaming, ridicule, verbal abuse, cuss your kids out, or physical abuse. Actually, the Psychological Association, American Psychological Association, just published articles about you know, no benefits of physical abuse, which is spanking and stuff like that. But, you know, if you spank your kids, you know, I mean, DCFS would not take your kids away just because you spanked your kids, you know, in general. So discipline is different than this, okay? Don't do these things. You don't need those things in order to discipline. Do not discipline when you're angry. You know, I do anger management class as well. Are we using the thick brain over there? You know, your emotion is from the middle, not your brain. You know, when you're angry, it's hijacking your processing, the frontal lobe processor. The processor, the frontal lobe, is thinking, analytical thinking. Tells you that should I do this, should I do that, to debating. You know, that's why count to 5, count to 10 works, because you give your time to think, to filter these raw emotions, angers. So don't let your emotions, you don't say things, make decisions when you're angry. Just like the same with, discipline your child. Don't discipline your child when you're angry, hijacking your frontal lobe. Do not discipline according to your energy level on that day. Be consistent. It is the easy said than done. Sometimes I even notice myself, you know, after come home, I just wanted to do whatever type of thing. But be aware of it, you know, be consistent. If you always, you know, get this, give this type of punishment or reward, you always do that so the kids can follow. It's important to install stability in kids. And some kids have a barrier, such as mental disorder, ADHD kids, okay? I would give example, ADHD kids with a parent paired up with a parent with anxiety disorder. So you have to be aware how this kid's ADHD symptoms triggers your anxiety. The kids is up and down, talking about nonstop, just all over the place. And then the parent's anxiety, because it's a chaotic and loud, all this thing, anxiety goes up. So the parents are constantly discipline the kids. So you want to monitor. Is it really the kids so bad at this point that you want to discipline the kids? You know, it's talking nonstop, or it's really your anxiety goes up. You just want yourself to calm down, regulate your anxiety, and then everything else in your environment, it prevents you from, you know, reducing your anxiety. You have to separate that. You know, sometimes it's not kids' fault. I'm not saying, you know, you should let them do whatever. It's just you want to be more aware of how much is my own anxiety at this point. My heart beats really fast, and how much is really the kids is being obnoxious right now. It's too much. Step family solutions situations. You know, it's a little bit difficult in step family for the step parents to discipline the child. One of the reasons is, you know, there was no biological bonding and there was no attachment prior to prior to them becoming a family. So if you don't have attachment, you don't have a relationship with the child, it's not going to be effective, whether it's biological or step parents or adoptive parents or anything. You know, you have to have a relationship with this person in order to discipline this child, okay, to be effective. And the child has to feel that you care about them. Otherwise, why do I listen to you? You know, you're just nobody than a stranger. If a stranger tell me to do this, why do I, especially for a position of defiant child or child with trusting issues, why you want to discipline me if, you know, you don't really care about me, type of thing. Parents on the same page. So when you discipline, you know, as we talked about previously, the authoritarian just want to even worse and more add more punishment, and the permissive is just more open, more and more backdoors. So then the children get in the get and can become more undisciplined. Because of the confusion of the roles, you know, one of this and one of that, and then the child will become confused, and that's not good. So be consistent, be on the same page. Alrighty, towards the end, I will put some brainstorming here. Question I usually ask the participants in the classroom, like, how does your parenting fit in or not fit in the 3 domain model? You know, what are the 3 ones? Is it play, playfulness, nurturing, and discipline? These 3, okay? I mean, this is the positive traits, effective parents. What's the parenting style? Are the authoritarian, authoritative, permissive, and then the 4th one is uninvolved. I'll add on that one. What are the barriers for you to fully exercise skills in the 3 domains: personality, you have personality pathology, depression, anxiety, physical disability, you know, chronic pain. That's a huge thing. Chronic pain. When people are in chronic pain, it's pretty much a constant, you know, because you're preoccupied with the pain level. You know, I'm not criticizing anything. You're just constantly thinking about it. You know, it bothers you. It's always there. So that kind of took your attention away from everything else. Chronic pain, work-related stress. You know, that's affected with the playfulness. You heard of the doctors never believe their kids are sick. I haven't seen so many sick people. You better not be sick. So, you know, sometimes I have to remind myself, I play with so many kids and I don't even play with my own child. So I have to be aware of that. You know, every child needs to be played with. So that's important. Physical illness, childhood trauma, adults' childhood trauma could affect a lot of these things. Their playfulness, their nurturing, their discipline, you know, unhappy marriage, you know, the unhappy marriage, the danger it is because it's so unstable and so unhappy that took the attention away from focusing on the kids. So every day the parents, you know, one parent or both parents is thinking about the you know, just so consumed with the unhappiness in this relationship, you know, and then they go to work and they come home and they become so unhappy. And then they don't have really the energy or attention focus on the kids. So the kids was like, mom, dad want this. But the parents was really there. It's about focusing. You know, your mind is somewhere else. How your children's behavior, mental health condition, illness, and the temperament in turn will influence your parenting. We talked about that. Any questions? Anything? This is my contact information. Have any questions? More, you know, I'm happy to answer them, whether through emails here or call me office. You know, I don't do much of a therapy at this point anymore, but you know, I still do a little bit play therapy with the kids on lessons. I do a lot of testing. But if you have questions or want a consultation, you're more than welcome to contact me. Here's my contact phone number. Alrighty, that will be it for today's video. If you have a question, give me a call or write me messages. Let me know. And thank you.